So today, we're going to dig into a really fascinating pitch from a company called SeniorCRE, and they're making a pretty bold claim that the entire senior living industry is fundamentally broken, and the answer isn't just another app. No, it's about rebuilding the whole thing from the ground up.
Okay, so to really get what they're trying to do, we first have to understand the problem they're going after. And according to SeniorCRE, the real issue, the thing that's holding the entire industry back, it's probably not what you think it is.
So they kick things off with this, really provocative statement. We live in a world where the answer to everything is, there's an app for that, right? But they come right out of the gate and say, nope, that's not it. In fact, they argue that adding more software is just making the problem worse.
And this is the heart of it all. This is their entire argument in a nutshell. The issue isn't that the tools for care or for operations or for finance are bad. The problem is that they all live on their own little islands, totally isolated, and that creates this deep, dangerous fragmentation across the business.
And what I think is so interesting here is how it just lays out the chaos, right? You've got your critical care information locked in one system. Your day-to-day operations are running in a totally different one. And then the money, the capital, the deals, that's living somewhere else entirely. And the punchline? None of these systems talk to each other. So you get these massive communication breakdowns right at the moment when a big decision needs to be made.
So you might be asking, how did they even come up with this diagnosis? Well, they say it comes from a really unique perspective, an insider's view built from years and years of being in the trenches. And where does this insight come from? They're really clear that this wasn't some idea dreamed up in a Silicon Valley garage. Nope. This was forged over more than a decade of hands-on, real-world experience actually managing the day-to-day of senior living communities. And this part is absolutely key to their whole story. They're positioning themselves not as tech guys looking in, but as operators and investors who actually lived this fragmentation. They were the ones trying to make these huge, multi-million-dollar decisions while being totally blind to what was happening on the ground in real time. And because they were on the inside, they see they got this front row seat to see exactly where things break down. They saw firsthand why deals would just stall out of nowhere, how massive financial risks could hide in plain sight in the operational data, and why even the fanciest new software just fails because it can't see the whole picture. Okay, so if the problem is baked into the very structure of the industry, and it's not about a lack of tools, what do you do about it? Well, this is where their pitch takes a really big turn. I love this line because it really gets to the heart of their thinking. You can't just slap a new coat of paint on a house with a cracked foundation. They're basically arguing that stacking more and more disconnected apps on top of this broken system is like adding another block to a wobbly Jenga tower. You're just making the inevitable collapse even worse. So what's their big answer? It's simple, really. Stop adding more tools. Instead, build a central hub, a single unified operating system that everyone uses. The idea is that everybody, from the caregiver on the floor to the operator in the office to the investor halfway across the world, is looking at the exact same data, working from the exact same playbook. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. How does this unified operating system actually work? Well, it's all built on a 4-layer architecture. This visual here, it does a great job of showing the big idea. This isn't just a stack of different programs. You should think of it more like a single interconnected nervous system for the business. And the really crucial part is that layer in the middle, the intelligence layer. It doesn't just connect the dots, it actually learns from them, getting smarter and smarter with every single piece of data that flows through it. So let's break down how they build this thing layer by layer. The foundation, step 1, is the operator platform. This handles all the on-the-ground stuff, clinical care, staffing, making sure you're compliant. Then step 2, you've got the marketplace, which is like a digital hub connecting everyone doing deals, buyers, sellers, brokers. On top of that, step 3 is the capital platform. This gives investors that real-time dashboard into how things are actually going. And finally, the magic ingredient is step 4, the intelligence layer, the brain of the whole operation. It takes data from all the other layers and starts making predictions, like flagging potential risks or forecasting staffing needs. Now, they make this next point very, very clear. This is not just a bundle of 4 separate products they've kind of taped together. I mean, that would just recreate the exact same fragmentation problem they're trying to solve.
Nope, it's one system. The whole point, the product itself, is that deep, native integration between care and operations and capital. The value isn't in any one of those layers. It's in how they all work together as a single, cohesive unit.
Okay, so what's the big strategic play here? Why is this so powerful? Well, SeniorCRE argues that by building infrastructure instead of just another piece of software, they've created something that is incredibly hard for anyone else to copy. Let's break that down.
First off, it's all about the data. Because every single piece of information lives in one place, the system gets smarter over time. Every new resident update, every financial report, it all feeds back into the intelligence layer, making its predictions better and better. It's this amazing compounding effect that a competitor using separate systems could just never replicate.
And then second, you've got your classic network effects kicking in. Big time. The more operators that join the platform, the more valuable it becomes for investors who are looking for deals. And the more investors that join, the more essential it becomes for operators who need capital. It's this self-reinforcing loop that gets stronger with every single new user.
And this quote right here, it just nails the whole thing. For what might be the first time ever, the financial side of the business and the care side of the business are running on the exact same engine. Think about that. It means an investor can see in near real time how a staffing change made yesterday could affect the financial projections for next quarter. That direct link has always been the missing piece of the puzzle.
So they wrap it all up by drawing this really sharp line in the sand. This isn't some freemium software you can try out and then cancel. No, they're positioning this as mission-critical infrastructure. It's as fundamental to running the business as electricity or water. It's a utility.
And that leaves us with this really big, thought-provoking question. Is this model from SeniorCRE actually a blueprint for the future? You know, for any complex industry, whether it's healthcare or shipping or manufacturing, is the real answer not just another app, but a unified infrastructure that connects all the players? Maybe the future is less about software and a whole lot more about building the foundational digital roads for an entire industry to run on.